Hello, hi, and welcome back to No Way. Tell me everything. I am your host, Jess. I have with me a special guest. I have with me Alison from Tattoosandtarot, whom I met from doom scrolling, actually. I was doing a good old-fashioned doom scroll, and I came across one of your readings, your collective readings, and I thought it was hilarious. There's so many of these like collective readings on Instagram and TikTok where they're like, they do the typical, like, your ex is coming back to you, or they really regret their decision, and they're all serious and ominous, and yours was like a really fun breath of fresh air of like, I think that life doesn't need to be so serious and it can be more fun, and you definitely had that vibe. And then I found out that you do tarot and comedy together, and I was like, this is great. I would love to have her on. So without further ado, welcome, Allison. Would you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about you?
Yeah, I'm Allison. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here and yap. I love a yap. I love just like getting in there and, following the stream of consciousness, whatever comes up. But yeah, I read tarot. I started reading for other people during the pandemic, just friends. We would all be isolated. And I was like, anybody want a full moon reading? And, we're all like baby witches, like, yeah, let's do it. you know, like, and those would always go well. Like I was like, oh, this is kind of crazy. Like
Mm-hmm.
that these cards are speaking. And so then, I mean, obviously, my first introduction to tarot was like very young, like probably with an infomercial type of like Miss Cleo situation. But really just TikTok baddies. I was like, tell me everything. How do they know my life? What's going on here? And so that's the tarot part of it. And then comedy, I've just always loved stand up. I've always been a fan. I always was just, kind of a ham growing up. If you got to know me, I was like doing impressions of teachers and, just being kind of bad and crazy. And so 3 years ago, it'll be 3 years ago next month, I started doing stand up. And I was like, what if I brought together the two things I love the most and did live comedy tarot shows? And so that has been super fun because I have been able to introduce tarot to comics in a way that's like really fun and exciting. Yeah, and then also be around people that I love who make me laugh, and I'm a Virgo. I'm a double Virgo. I'm a Virgo sun, Virgo rising with a
Mm.
Pisces moon. So I'm like, control and fun and emotions and building a show that I want to see, like so
Yeah.
it's been able to be like the whole thing. So yeah, now social media social media presence I feel like has been a push that I was like, okay, it's time to do this a little bit more forward facing. And that's been well received to the point where I'm just like, I'm so honored. It's so fun. I want to keep it light. I want to also be extremely authentic with like the whatever I'm going through at the time. Like, how do I, convey I'm a human and, this is all part of the dance that we're in, like figuring it out. So, yeah.
Yeah. I have a theory about the people who do like, so I also do tarot reading for my friends.
Yeah.
So all my friends listening, I'm sure, are like totally, yeah, because when you start doing it, you're like, whoa, how is that so fucking accurate? And then even now, like, and then I started doing psychic work as well. So now I do more psychic than the tarot. But even then, I'll be like, I'll do a full reading, and then they'll be like, yeah, and I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
can't believe that was correct. But it
Yeah.
is so crazy. And then I have to like stop gaslighting myself because I'm like, of course it's correct. Because
Right.
that's how that works. Like, and I think with tarot, what's really interesting is tarot itself is super accessible for people because if tarot seems really intimidating or like a lot that you have to learn, you can do like oracle decks, which are like the nurturing mother to tarot's like, little
Harsh.
bit harsher. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how I got into tarot actually was like, so I was a Christian to witch pipeline person.
Same.
Yeah. So it was really scary for me because growing up, my mom had tarot deck when I was younger. And then it was like, that is a devil tool. And we're getting rid of those. So then I kind of grew up with it, like a little bit of fear around, oh my God, if I get a tarot deck, am I like connecting with the devil? So I did the Oracle deck first.
Okay.
And that's when I also like, I would have moments. This was like, I think this was also like 3 or 4 years ago. Um, where I would shuffle and a card would come out and I'm like, oh, in the beginning where you're like, oh, I don't know if that one meant to come out. And then you shuffle again and the same one comes out and you're like, okay. Mhm.
Yeah, I guess I should listen, or I guess this is important, or yeah, okay. So I'm also Christian to witch
Huh.
pipeline,
Yeah.
and the group of friends I was reading for was also in that space of like, none of us go to church anymore. We all are going through this wild, isolating experience, but feel very much like connected to one another. So it was like a very, I think, formative time to just be really open to, I don't know, no one knows what's going to happen here, no one knows what's going on, everyone is in transition or stagnation. We're just sort of seeing what happens with the world. And um I feel like that's such a posture that I feel like continues to come up. I'm like, wow, there are no set things, it is moving all of the time. And I had one person ask me, um, a comic actually, a comedian. They were like, "So does tarot work?" And I took a minute and I was like, "Well," and then I was like, "Oh my gosh." I was like, "No, it communicates.
Yeah.
It
Communicates
communicates
in that moment.
in that moment." And that's the thing too. I'm like, the way that generally, I don't want to like put any sort of like constraints or parameters on how readings go. But typically, I'm like, I can do the energy surrounding what's happening right now,
Mhm.
which then informs where that energy may go.
Mhm.
I I don't see tarot as like and now this is going to happen. There is, because it's a journey of the fool, right? There's so many opportunities for offshoots and free will and the shadow aspects of the cards. And I mean, it's just like you could be getting a reading one day about one situation and it's like, you're the fool. And then another situation in your life, it's like judgment. And you're like, what? I'm like,
Mhm.
you can be in so many different places, in different aspects of your life. So I love it.
Yeah, I think that's like that's always a litmus test for me when I see someone doing a reading, if I am going to listen to what they say or if I'm going to brush it off if they're it is how they read it. And I think that was what I really liked about you was you had a very open container of like
Mm,
this is kind of the vibe coming through with these cards. It can mean a couple different things
yeah.
versus, oh, the lover's card came through. This means that your ex is coming back to you. And I'm like, the lover's card can be so many different things. You have to talk about the energy of something. And to your point, like free will is a bitch when it comes to predicting things. So I try really hard with tarot and with psychic to be like, this is the energy around you at the moment. This is a possibility of
Mhm,
what could come if you lean into that energy. And this is something you would need to do to lean into that energy
mhm,
versus this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen to you because there's so many things involved and so many different pieces moving. And even within yourself, like, I wake up one day and I'm like, oh my God, my life is the best. I love it. And then I wake up, or even 5 hours later, I'm like, oh my God, I hate everything. Nothing's like you just can't predict with finality something that's gonna happen.
no. And something that has been okay, so just for example, in my personal practice, I'm like, I like to just in practice, not necessarily to like put a pin in this is what my day is gonna be. I do try to pull one card. Like if I get more than one card, that's fine. But I have a specific deck by my by my altar that I'm like, this is just for that.
Hmm.
that's what this deck does. And so I was traveling and brought it with me this summer and I'm alone. I was traveling alone. Okay, I was in Tulum, Mexico, and then I went to New York. And in Tulum, I kept getting the 2 of cups. And I was like, but it's not union. This isn't about,
Mhm.
this is like, so how can I interpret this card traveling alone where I don't know anyone? What can I be
Mhm.
open to? Also, what is this bringing up for me? So that's in terms of, because there's so much you can learn about the cards. I mean, it's just like, feels endless to look at the symbolism and the history and then the energy and then what all the factors that are at play and specifically in a tarot reading. So I do find that like if I have one card in the back of my mind all day and I can see, oh, this has that energy. Oh, this is like the shadow aspect of that. The way this card is showing up today, that has helped me broaden my view of what the cards mean, that it's never going to be like dualistic, black and white. Like I'm always like, there are no bad cards. There are no, like,
No,
you
no,
know,
no.
it's just
I
not. Yeah.
hate the yes and no people too, where they're like doing readings and they're like yes and no answers. And I'm like, that's so unethical. That's not
Yeah.
how it works.
Yeah.
You mentioned something really good though, and I think this is a great thing to talk about because I think a lot of people who listen to this, like I said, I've done tarot readings for, they know about tarot, but a lot of them don't learn it themselves because they're like,
Mhm.
it's a lot to learn, and and it is right. So, like, what would your advice be if someone's interested of like where to start?
I would say you're allowed to get your own deck. You don't,
Hmm.
there's like
Yes,
this
great
like
first rule. Yeah, you don't have to be given
crazy.
it.
You don't have to be given a deck. You do not. You don't like also following that, maybe it's wherever I'm rebellious in my chart, but like I think like the Christian pipeline that I'm from as well is like rules here do not serve you.
Mm-hmm.
Not and neither does judgment. So that would be it would be get a deck and then remove rules and judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And use the booklet, look it up. Like I still, if something is unclear, I'm like, I'm reading, especially if it's not like a typical Choate deck or Rider Waite, like then I'm like, I'm in the booklet, like this, some artist, someone put intention behind this version or interpretation of
Yeah.
the King of Cups.
Yeah.
And something feels unclear, so I'm gonna read it.
Mm-hmm.
Um also uh journal about your reading for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is actually something that I'm working on to roll out is just like printables or ebooks to just be like, hey, here's how I journal when I
Mm-hmm.
give myself a 3 card reading or when I do my own week ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so then I'm looking, I mean, and again, I'm like 6 years in, so I understand a lot of the card, but when I'm in like intention mode, I'm nerding out and I am like taking notes on this is what is standing out to me about this card and then as the week goes on, I can go back and be like, "Oh my gosh, my
Mm-hmm.
insight into this card showed up in this way. I didn't even realize I wrote this down." So it's also a lot of it's a process, but it's a lot of like connecting the dots within yourself to
Mm-hmm.
know that you can trust yourself reading the card. There is I think it's like even like Carl Jung was into tarot and he said it was a window into the unconscious or the subconscious. And so anything that's coming out is information.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah,
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think so. I'm the same way. I still use. There's a site called Biddy Tarot.
love Biddy Tarot.
Yeah, I still use that. They
Yeah.
have super comprehensive, they talk about you can get like the very short, this is what it means upright, this is
Hmm.
what it means reversed. And then they have a description of the card itself and the symbolism, which I think that's kind of most important to me personally and how I interpret them because
Yeah.
I will go and look up her, I think it's a woman who did it, but I will look up, I'll just say there. I will look up
Yeah.
their meanings
Yeah.
and see what they are, because I still have a pretty good idea of most cards, but sometimes there's something so specific in there that will speak to me, to the situation that I'm dealing with when I'm doing my own readings.
Yes.
Um, and I think the symbolism is so important because I cannot memorize things. Like, I don't know if it's my ADHD, but I cannot memorize things just rote. Like, I'm not going to
Yes.
remember that. So
Right.
the symbolism works for me because I will memorize what the symbols kind of stand for, and I will attach my own meaning to those. So, like, water is emotions, mountains are like obstacles or things, and like, are the mountains in the foreground or the mountains in the back? Like, you have
Love
to
it.
kind of interpret that. And then also, I think what's a really, I love that you talk about no rules, because I literally just put out an episode today. So, like, I don't know, 2 months ago or something, that was about how to get into witchcraft. And it was basically
Mm,
like, there are really no rules.
no.
And when you go from religion, you're like, what? I'd have to
Right.
figure this out on my own,
Right.
you know? And it's like, yeah, but that's like super empowering. That's great. And
Yes.
I think that's what I love about all of these tools is like, yeah, you can do your own rules. Like, reversals is a great example of this, because a reversal means different things to different people.
Right.
Like, for me, when the card's upside down, it's implying that there's something internal energy that you're working on, to like shadow work kind of stuff,
Yeah.
versus upright is external circumstances.
I
But
love.
for other people, it means it's the opposite of the upright meaning.
Yep.
And then sometimes it's a completely different thing. If, like, for Biddy, a lot of times it's like it's completely different. She's attached other meanings to it. So it's just an example of like what works for you. Because I
Mhm.
rarely also, so when I do readings for other people, I generally don't get specific questions. I
Mhm.
just get the cards,
Yeah.
and then I use my psychic reading to intuitively read the cards. So even though I know kind of what the cards stand for, I'll pull on the psychic side of
Yeah.
that. And so I don't really use any rules at all there. And I
Yeah.
think, how often in life do you have something where there are no rules and you get to make up your own? Like, I think that's really cool. That's
Yeah.
probably also the rebellious side of my chart as well, but
Right. I mean,
yeah.
yeah. And so I think that
Oh,
and that's
hi,
usually what I do. Oh, yeah. So this is Raleigh. He usually sits in my
Raleigh.
office chair. He's like, "What are you doing in my spot?" Maybe he'll chill with us. But that's the way that I do readings. So I give the option, right? So if you book a reading with me, I'm like, okay, would you rather tell me something
Mhm.
that you would like clarity on that we've set an intention for, or we can just start going and see what happens? And in both of those situations, what I find is that cards are coming, and then this third, fifth, or fourth thing is like, and now we're going to speak through above all of this.
Mhm.
This has been sort of an intro. This is like the appetizer into the mystical, whatever that's happening right now. And now I'm going to get this other thing come through that has to do with these cards for sure and has been introduced by the cards. But now you're hearing from a guide, or
Mhm.
this is about like a deeper thing. Or, I mean, I'm pretty so I do set an intention that my readings are for the person in front of me. So I am very specific, like love readings. I'm like, it's gonna end up being about you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I know. But I've also had, I mean, I've set a container. I'm like, this is our time energetically. We're just here with you and I have permission and blah, blah, blah. And I still have had readings where other energies are like, but let me tell them something.
Mhm.
Usually it's a romantic connection, and I
Mhm.
address it and I have to say, okay, this wants to show up. And it ends up being the process of what the person in front of me needs to hear about, like why they're justified in wanting them to stay out of their energy, or
Mhm.
why
Yeah.
they're like, you know, that, hey, this is, tarot, if tarot communicates, it also acknowledges. And I think a lot of times when people use tarot to like seek answers and they just get what is, I'm like, that's a comfort. that is something saying something outside of you in some way saying, we see your situation. We see the hurt here. We see the betrayal here. We see like you are justified in feeling this way, or this was a shit situation. I know you want to skate over it,
Hmm.
but a lot of what's happening now is a result of this. So it's just sort of like being open to communicating, hey, I know this is hard, or actually you're in a joyful spot and we need to let this go, or whatever it is, right? And then also um being open to being wrong. I'm like, hey, if I'm not on the right track, tell me, because I don't want interference, or I don't want to you to be like making it fit when it doesn't. But
Yeah. I
thankfully
actually
that
see that so much with women, because we are so like conditioned to be, palatable and nice, and like so you're like, oh, is this ringing a bell? And they're like, yeah, I think so. And I'm
I
like,
think
no, then it's not, because it would be so sure in you if it
scrap
was.
it.
So let's
Yeah.
let's figure it out, like what's going on, because
Hmm.
I've also had that with tarot as well. Like I'll ask you, do you have a question specifically? And they're like, "No, general." And it's like a funnel, because you start up at the top and you gotta drill down to where are we? What are we talking about in this second? And sometimes my guides will come in and, like, help me a little bit. But I have the same experience. Like, I always talk about this. If people are, like, asking me for a love reading, I'm like, "It's gonna be about what you need to do with yourself, but sure." Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can do it, but, the people who are, like, asking the question, like, does my ex regret that, he did that to me? And I'm like, "You're asking the wrong question." Because what the
Mhm.
tarot is gonna tell you is like, yeah, you're not feeling great about it. Like you said, like they'll acknowledge where you are, but they'll be like, you need to let it go, because you're
Mhm.
the one now holding yourself back. This thing that you're worrying about it's none of your business. It's what I say when I do my hair. I'm always like, the back of my head, what that looks like, it's none of my business, you know? So like the past that people are holding on to with these things, and I get it, because like you want that person to miss you. You want them to regret it, but that's like an ego thing. So
Mhm.
when you're inquiring things like that from tarot or spirit or any kind of psychic work, I've never had a situation where spirit's like, "Hell yeah, they miss you. You wouldn't believe they're over there just eating pints of ice cream missing you."
Yep.
It's just always like, "Hey, stop looking over there. That
Mhm.
was done. That needed to happen. This is what it's meant to show you, and this is what you're heading towards if you know, let go and
Yeah.
move on."
Yeah.
And I love tarot because they don't sugarcoat anything.
No.
It's
No.
it's very much like, if I'm, like, really sad and I'm like, "I need a nice, positive, uplifting card," I'll go get my oracle deck, because
Oracle deck.
tarot's like, "Bitch, pick yourself up."
Right. Right. It's so true. Yeah. Yep. And I think that the like it's one of those things where, I mean, still to this day, I will definitely have cards pop out and I'm like, nope, I don't want to do that right now. Like,
Mhm.
no,
I had
thank
that
you.
yesterday. I
Yeah.
was like, "I just want 1 card," and the card popped out, and I was like, "I'll just maybe like another one," and my guides were like, "Oh, why? You didn't like that one?" Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and the second card was the same thing. It
Yeah.
was the
You're
same
just
thing
like,
with
oh,
a
this is,
different way of wording it.
yeah.
So,
It's so
you
good
can't
though,
get
but
away
I,
from
I
it.
do love it. So, can you tell me, so do you start your readings with tarot, or do you just do the psychic work?
Yeah, so I don't do charged readings. Like, I just
Okay.
like, for the people who follow me on Instagram, like, I'll just be like, "Oh, I'm in a mood to do tarot readings if you want
Yeah.
one," because
Yeah.
I lean more into the psychic side. Tarot's more for like, I love it and I use it a lot with myself, and like I said, with my friends, or I'll do like a daily card pull, kind of like you
Yeah.
said. But for the most part, I still feel like I haven't this is maybe like, a typical female thing maybe, but I also feel like I haven't mastered it. So therefore I
Hmm.
don't want to be offering it as a service. It's more something that I just enjoy doing. But I normally do like my favorite on special occasions, I'll do a Celtic cross.
Hmm.
So for people who don't know, the Celtic cross is one of the like very elaborate tarot spreads where I think there's like 11 cards or something. There's a lot of cards. I haven't done one since.
I'm pretty sure
Actually,
it's
it's coming
11.
up. It's coming up because I do it on Samhain. It's like the witch's New Year kind of thing. I always do it then.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's very elaborate, and it's like it goes through like what's beneath you, what's above you, what's coming. Like it's old school,
Yep.
huge spread.
And it's
So I
intense to do. You have
yeah,
I'm like, this is a one. I don't do them often because I'm like, I find, and it's usually like you want some real clarity here.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
because it's like my looking forward into the new
yes,
year, what's coming up for me this year, and
love
they're
that.
always spirally accurate again.
Right. Yes.
But you really have to sit with it and introspect. So I tend to do either like I don't do it every morning, but I'll do one card or I'll do a very simple 3, which is what is the energy around me at the moment? What is the universe giving me to help with whatever this energy is? And then
Mm,
what do I either need to do or let go of to align with where I should be or to work with that
love that.
energy? So that's like my typical. How about you?
I'll do so something that is new for me to do. Do you mean like in readings or do you mean like like with tarot in general?
Either one,
Like when
whatever.
I go, okay. When I lately, when I'm giving collective readings, I have been trying to ask questions as I pull
Mhm.
to be like, okay, instead of just blindly, here's temperance and here's the 9 of cups and here's the I'll get a card initially and I'm like, ooh, what do we need today? Okay, temperance, balance.
Mhm.
But you don't know you're out of balance until you bump into some things. Let's see, what are we bumping into? Card. And then I'll go off of that. And so
Love
that
that.
has proven to be very helpful because it takes the what do I need to know? What do I need to do? What do I, out of my hands and out of
Mhm.
the like, I want an answer about this right now. This is an unknown and I need the information and I need to know and it sort of makes it a little more playful. It also allows it to be like, hey, that's not what I did. That's the card that came out. And
Mhm.
it's interesting intuitively. And this is something that I think if people are trying to learn how to read tarot or people are learning how to read tarot or read their own or read for other people, there is also no wrong or right way to get the cards out of the deck.
No, I was gonna ask you about that, like, how do you do it? Because 'Cause you'll see people cutting them, and then they cut them 3 times, and then they
Yep.
tap, or there's people who are feeling, and, like, I just shuffle, but my
Mhm.
guides know that I have a rule, which is I shuffle, I will only accept 1 card. So if, like, 3, 4 cards fall out, they go back in. It's, like,
Oh,
1 card at a
love
time.
it.
That's my rule.
Yep, and I think that, like, so not I okay, so I think that is amazing because I think having, like, parameters and rules for your own
Yeah,
practice, so it
yeah.
doesn't get out of control or out of hand or where you're like, all this stuff and I don't know how to read it," like, is just almost like a form of self-care. Rules about how to do everything, and if, okay, this person on TikTok told me or Instagram told me to do this, and even with, like, spell work or
Mhm.
any sort of rituals, it's I have learned it is about intention. I can make a potion, light a candle, play in the bath, garden and be doing like energy work or be
Literally feel like you can make anything into witchcraft, and
anything.
I feel like this is coming from my guides, this example I just got, because it literally just came through with a giggle, and they're really silly. They literally were like, "A fart can be witchcraft if you're, like, out with the old." You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like,
Yeah.
literally, if you put
No,
that
literally.
intention behind it.
Yeah, no, and two, I mean, not to get like too like whatever, like potty, whatever, but the amount of dreams I've had about shitting after I cut something off. I mean,
I
it's
have had
like
toilet dreams nonstop. I was just telling my friend about this. Yeah.
no, it's literally like a cleanse. It's like your subconscious is like, yeah, no, it's out of here.
Mhm.
All of the energy, all of the everything is
Yep.
moving out.
Yep.
So like asking questions so then the card can be the answer and then having no judgment and then taking it lightly because I have had so like all of us have experienced such serious things.
Mhm.
So and continue to witness such
Yeah.
serious,
Horrific things. Yeah.
heavy, horrific things that sometimes it can feel selfish or futile to ask about your own life.
Yeah. or to
you know,
find joy in that,
or to find
Yeah,
joy in it, or to
but
think
it's
it
so
matters,
important.
or,
Yeah.
like, and I'm like, no, like that is honestly a part of whatever privilege that you have in life right now, to have the space to go deeper and to seek more
Mhm.
isn't offered to everyone, isn't accessible, is sometimes even kept away because you're under a system of control or um, oppression that says your inner knowing is a threat and shouldn't be accessed and is damaging. And like, so if just taking shame away from the desire to go within and understand like what is just is moving is moving the planet forward, is a part of the evolution of the soul, is, you know, the collective healing. Because hopefully it does then push you outward to be like, okay, here's my life. And I don't have to take it so seriously, even though the things can feel really serious sometimes. But what else? What else is there? What else is informing, the things around me? But
Yeah, I totally agree. I think I've been quite adamant with people that like it has to be balanced and you have to have joy. If you have the privilege to have joy, I feel like you really need to do that because the systems of oppression want us all to be beat down and miserable, so we stop fighting. And if you live too much in that one side of fighting all the time, it gets too heavy and it gets too hard to carry on. And you start to go down that spiral of like, what is even the point? Nothing's happening. And, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So you have to find that joy. And I also feel that when you do experience the joy in your life, it reminds you how wonderful life is and how much it's worth fighting for to be able to have joy for yourself and the collective. So I really think you do have to have, and that's why I love the comedy and tarot thing because I'm also like, we all have to stop taking everything so seriously. Like that's another thing that I will not take with me from my upbringing in the religious systems is that it is also serious and it's fire and brimstone and all this other stuff. And it's like, have fun. Have fun with your spell work. Have fun with tarot.
mhm.
Like I said, I make my own rules for myself because also, like, I gaslight the crap out of myself with everything. So if I don't have the rules that only one card at a time counts, if 3 come out, I'm like, "Is it the top one or the bottom one? Is it all 3? Like, which
Yeah,
one?" And then
yeah,
you start doubting what you're doing, and that's the
yes,
worst thing you can do because you lose confidence, you lose connection. So
yeah,
I'm like, "Okay, 1 card at a time. This is how
yeah,
I shuffle. If too many come out, you know the rule. It's going right back in." And I'll say, like, if that was meant to come out, have it come out again as a
right.
single card. And I have a lot of fun with my witchcraft rituals. Like, this is so silly, but right now I'm in the middle of making a one of those like what are they called? The graveyard gummy worm cakes, like that you eat as a
Yep.
kid with
Yeah.
the chocolate and the pudding and the Oreos on top and the gummy worms. My daughter and I, who's dressed as a witch currently while we're doing this,
Amazing.
because, she's literally wanted to look like the witch. So she sat there and chanted at the cake while it was in the oven about baking properly because we're making this graveyard cake because I'm in a very big, I think collectively we're all in this like big old purging,
Oh my,
shedding situation. And I
yeah.
literally decided that today I had a dream last night that pushed me to this is a really big purge day for me. So I'm
Mm,
doing a lot of things that are about death and
mm,
rebirth. So I'm
mhm,
making a graveyard cake. And
mhm.
it's just to say like have fun with it. It's
Yeah.
about like you said the intention. If you're listening
Mm,
to this and you haven't listened to the episode about not caring what other people think, the first 30 minutes of that is how to get into witchcraft in a very accessible way where I
mm.
talk about literally intentions. Like put your intentions into it, make it fun. It doesn't have to be serious. So I love that you're doing that. Tell us more about the whole comedy and tarot because I did see you posted on Instagram a little clip where you were having some like what's it called crowd work, I guess, where you were
Yeah,
like
yeah,
working with some people in the crowd. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So the structure of the show is that I host. I've had other people host it so that I can do a little bit more time with comedy or tarot. But I have anywhere from 2 to 4 comedians, and I will introduce them with a card, or do like a little tarot reading for them on stage. And then in between comics, I will ask if who has like a close birthday, like, and they'll raise their hand and like, okay, what are you willing to have your tarot read? And it is just always so fun because it's quick and it's like, yeah, you did this. And oh my gosh, look at what that is. And the whole audience is like, what's going to come out? So it's just like this live, like anticipation for what's going to happen here. And is this okay? And what if they get the death card? And so it has been anything from, I want a card about work and it's like 8 of Cups, time to quit. And they're like, I was thinking about quitting. And I'm like, it's like that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
it's so energetically fun and exciting. And I change outfits in between each comedian
Ooh,
because the
fun.
my first night, the first show I ever did was the same night as the Oscars. And I was like, I'm just gonna change. I'm just gonna change in between everybody. And I had like 6 comics, and my friend who is so funny did a fake tarot reading. And
Okay.
so now that's part of the show
That's fun.
where the comedian can sort of improvise a reading for an audience member. And they all know it's play, right? But I don't want to like out all my friends, but it's been so lovely over the past probably year and a half that I've been doing the show to see comedians like ask me questions or like want to play or want to do the show and have no experience with anything, psychic, tarot, mediumship, anything. I mean, because that's like another thing where I'm like, so this Halloween show that's coming up, I have a show on Friday and one on Saturday, but the one Friday is like my Halloween themed one. I'm going to have 2 comics dress up as comics who have passed away and do a seance, and they're going to show up.
That's
So,
hilarious.
like, stuff like that where I'm like, it's play. This can be light and easy. And okay, so yeah, so you did get the 3 of Swords. Guess what? Sometimes life is really hard. So, 2 weeks ago, I did a benefit show for a candidate running for city council in my area. And I read tarot. At the top of the show, my friend was like, it was a comedy benefit. Everyone else, there was stand up, there was someone doing funny songs, there was improv. She was like, I'm going to intro, and then will you do a tarot reading and your comedy? And I was like, absolutely, so fun. So I do my little like intro to me, yada yada. I talk about being accidentally bad and growing up in the church and blah blah. This is why I do tarot. And then the candidate is sitting in the front row, and I'm like, do you want to come and pull a couple cards and then I'll read them? And so he
Mhm.
did, and he came up, and it was like, 6 of Cups, which I was like, oh, this is about your childlike heart. This is about giving and receiving. Whatever you're doing here for this campaign is like really about your internal work here and like having a childlike nature, and it like really matters to you. And it's also healing that, yeah. And then I got the Chariot, and everyone's like, woo, yay, the Chariot, like it's coming through. And then 3 of Swords. And I was like, listen, everybody, I'm going to need you to trust me when I show you this next card that everything is going to be okay.
Oh my
And it
gosh.
really was like, I just felt like this wave of like, my ears started ringing. I was like, oh, this is what I'm like, how I can explain a card of sorrow. And it was basically like, this is an acknowledgement that our hearts hurt.
Mm,
Like we wouldn't want change in this way, or we wouldn't desire something new to come in quickly that
mm,
is healing for our hearts unless there was pain that said, this is not okay. And this is
mm,
not, so it's really one of those things. It doesn't mean, oh God, you're going to lose and everyone's going to be heartbroken. It's like, no, this is the energy now. We're hurting. We are
yeah.
hurting.
Yeah.
And, just to be able, and then like ending light in a light way. But it's been so fun to be a bit sacrilegious because I'm like, even in the tarot community, I mean, we've talked about the rules. There are people who are like, make sure you cleanse your energy after making fun of the cards. I'm like, I'm not making fun of the cards.
Mm-mm.
That's not what's happening here. And also, like, I have been under so many oppressive should and shouldn't areas and circumstances and rooms that I'm
Mm-mm.
just like, it doesn't work. That does
Mm-mm.
not promote growth or wholeness or health or
Mm-mm. Or
acceptance of
community or
others.
anything. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just a block. It's just a
Yeah.
huge block. So it keeps me too in my own practice to be like, girl, chill out. Like,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
okay. Do you have everything
Yeah.
you need?
I
You're
think
fine.
that's one of the things that has been so healing for me with my guides is that, when you grow up in a environment where people are telling you that everything's very serious and these spirits are very powerful and you have to respect them, and I'm like, this sounds like an egotistical, like, I mean, I've talked about this plenty of times, like everything in the patriarchy and Christianity is like, "Respect me." Like, it's
Mm,
very insecure dude, and I'm like, I
yep.
just don't, that doesn't vibe with how I experience it. And then, even with, like, and I mean, I respect other people's opinions of how they work with it. I think what I don't like is when people tell me how I should work with it because
Yes.
of theirs. It's like, if you wanna knock out the energy of your deck when other people touch it or all this other stuff, that's how you work, and that's
Hmm.
fine. Like, the people
Hmm.
who are touching my deck are people that I love,
Hmm.
and I don't think I also just that doesn't I've never experienced that. It's not my
Right.
experience of it. And
Yeah.
my guides have an insanely good sense of humor. And I call them assholes when they're being jerks. And I'm like, "You freaking assholes can't give me a break." And I
Yeah.
can feel them finding amusement in it.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, my experience with how I've worked with spirit, I've also had very mischievous spirits come in that like fuck up my life in the most little tiny ways, but
Mm-hmm.
they're like, "This is fun. We're getting you used to chaos because you like control. Isn't
Hmm.
this funny?" And I'm like, "No, it's
No,
not
actually.
funny. I got it now. Thank you."
Yeah.
But I'm like, not everything is this serious. And
Mm-mm.
I just don't like when you tell people, like, when there's experience policing.
Yes.
I think experience policing is such a thing right now, and it is so divisive as well. And you're in the US, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. What part of the US are you in?
I'm in Ohio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I would do you like Ohio?
I mean, unless I had family here, I'd probably not even be in the country if we're going to be. I'm a mom.
I'm
I have kids.
I'm from,
I'm
like,
just like, here I
Philadelphia, and
am.
we always used to think of Ohio as just, like, the land of nothing, like, that was just,
I'm in
white
Columbus, so
bread.
I'm in like this capital, and it's like, living anywhere else. I would maybe live in Cincinnati, but like
Right.
yeah, you
Yeah.
go 20 minutes outside of the city and you're just like, it's not like there's nothing, it's growing. I mean, you can't buy a house, but anywhere else in Ohio is kind of like, oh, it's very depressed. Everyone just like came to Columbus and
Yeah.
left all these cities. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, so I'm originally from the US, right? And so I
Okay.
watch everything going down, and I'm just like, this is so sad.
It's really
Like,
sad.
it's so sad and it's so divisive. And I really have thought, like, was it always really divisive? And I was just a privileged white woman who didn't see that it was divisive. And I think there was definitely an angle of that for sure. But I also think it's just gotten so bad. And I think when you look at comedy, that's a huge area where you can see how bad it is, because no one can take a joke anymore. No one can make fun of themselves. No one
Mm-mm.
can laugh. There's so many things that are off limits. And the thing is, with the off limits is there's some things that are off limits because they're so incredibly inhumane.
Mhm.
And then there's some things that are off limits that probably shouldn't be off limits because we need to be able to have that reflective look at ourselves and see the humor in it so that we
Yeah.
can realize how ridiculous things sound. And
Mhm.
I think people have an issue distinguishing those
Yes.
2 things. And I mean, talking about AI as well, really quick, like, I saw a video of AI of Donald Trump saying something, but I literally was like, "I don't know if this is AI or if this is normal." And it's like the things that people say now are so ridiculous that
Yeah.
even a comic is like, I can't even beat, like, I what am I
No.
supposed to how am I
No.
supposed to make fun of that? It's already
Right.
crazy.
Right. Yeah, and so it does become this like, how do I touch on absurdity, anger, the human experience? Like, you can either, there are some comics who are like, I'm going to talk about the politics and current events and what's happening right now. Um, and if they're doing it in a beneficial way, I'm like, yeah, I love you. Like, please, like, um, and not furthering an agenda of like hate or, whatever it could be. But it really does become like, and I think that's why I love marrying tarot with comedy, to be like, at the end of the day, we're all having this human experience here and on this like fucked up rock, like that is also filled with beauty. So I love that you were talking about your guides and having a sense of humor. So I went through like a horrific breakup this summer. Just like, wow, what the hell was that? And so I'm like crying. There's a wooded path by my home. And I just like had a day to myself. And I'm like, I just feel so heartbroken. Just like, please, like, show up for me.
Mhm.
And the whole day I felt like I was like, there was something nudging me to like, go have fun. Just go have fun. So I'm like on this tear filled walk in the woods, and a robin came and swooped by me and made a sound I have never heard a robin make. And it sounded like laughing. It was like, and flew away. And I was like, oh, you asshole. Like, you're laughing at me. You are laughing at me, loving how heartbroken I am, loving my, like, oh, let me just be sad about it and be in the woods and
I'm
have
gonna
this
go be
emotional
sad in the
experience.
woods.
Show me a buck,
Yeah.
and then instead it's like this laughing bird. And robins to me are always like very much associated with the throat chakra and singing and messengers and all of these things. And so I was just like, all right, I get it. Like, I need to sort of like loosen up, lighten up. Like, you chose to end this relationship to seek joy. And now it's literally swooping down around you.
Mhm.
And you're in this place of heartache stuff. Like, you can feel those things, but also like lighten up,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that type of thing, like just being open to it, feeling a different way, going a different way. I think, yeah, like you said, like we have so many readers online who are like, just who start in a stance of get scared, or start in a stance of like, I know something you don't know, which is a
Mhm.
whole nother. I mean, I could spend an hour talking
No.
about gatekeeping.
Yeah.
I'm just like, no, no, like, it is accessible. It is for you however you want it. You don't need to use tarot. You don't
Mm.
need to use it. Like, you can say, okay, when I see, assigning your personal meaning to different things. So I've told people who are struggling with self love, like I had a reading with a client. It was so beautiful. And they had just done so much like healing work, and we're sort of in that like exhaustion phase of it, of like,
Mm.
is it going to be done? And the Nine of Pentacles and Nine of Cups came out. And now I'm telling
Mm.
everybody to do this because I was like, I just think this is like what I'm going to say this is now. But like, I was like, go buy yourself something that has the meaning and weight associated with your growth, so that every
Mm.
time you see it or wear it or smell it or use it, that it is a reminder to you of the non-physical shit you just went through and
Yeah.
endured. And so I'm just like, that type of stuff. You can go to the mall and assign meaning to a pair of shoes.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be a monk. Pleasure is part of life too,
Mhm.
like all of that. Just like loosen it up. Let it go play. Yeah.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that because we also, yeah, I mean, I definitely had, when I started my big old healing experience, I think I spent like 6 months in the trenches or something. Like, I was deep in it. And I
Yeah.
also, I am kind of that type of person. Like, the death card is one of my favorites to get because I love a death and a rebirth. Like,
Same. I'm like, finally, it's over.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like, "Yep, let's do it. Bring on
Yeah.
the new," you know?
Yeah.
Or like ego deaths. I'm like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, let's expand me. Let's do it."
Mhm.
Like I gotten so comfortable with that. So I am fully aware I'm that type of person that's like, "Yes, take it all from me. Let's go through it all one."
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
also tell people I work with like you don't have to do that. Like you can microdose healing and it's
Yes.
actually probably better for me and everyone else to do that because yeah, like we're not really good at I'm always like on the next thing. I'm like, "Cool.
Mhm.
Now that's over. What's next?" And a lot of times my guides are like, "You need to chill the fuck out. Like, just
Yeah.
be in this stage
Mhm.
right now and
Mhm.
just enjoy where you are." And we're
Yep.
not really good at that. So I love that. Like, I'm going to tell it to my husband. I'm like, "Honey, I got to go buy something. I went through a transformation now."
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Just the permission to celebrate even,
Mm, yeah.
I think that there's something I think that can be, I don't know if it's like across the board in the spiritual community, but just like, are you having fun?
Hmm.
Like, I think
Yeah.
one of my most successful videos is like, have fun. Like, just like a card like shoots out and I'm like, wee, like it's just like, okay, this is exciting. Getting an insight into a bigger picture or sense of identity. What a gift. How
Mm,
exciting is that? Like practicing gratitude and the ability to tap in. That it is that accessible. It is that accessible. Um, and there are times where it feels that accessible, and there are times where it really does not. And you're like, this is bullshit. Like, this is
hmm.
what am I doing? I'm insane. Oh
Yeah.
no, I went crazy
Yeah.
and everyone let me, like, but then it's like, oh no, here is this sign or angel number or synchronicity or oh my gosh, I'm running into someone randomly and this is now a pivotal moment in my life. It's all of that. It's all of it.
Yeah. And you start to see that like when you're aware of it
Mhm.
and when you're kind of I try to be in this like middle stage of aware but not looking for
Mhm.
because I am also like I will find signs in everything if I want
Yeah.
to. Like
Yeah.
and so you can go down that, let's call it baby psychosis
Mhm.
pathway of like, oh, this is all a sign. And it's like, no, I'll give you a great example of that because this was really funny for me. We were in Greece and I kept seeing the exact same number combinations on every single license plate. And I was like, oh my God, I'm seeing this number everywhere. And it's probably a sign. And then my husband, who is so intuitively connected without even realizing it, he goes, do you think maybe it's just like the district we're in? And I was like, uh, I don't
Uh-huh.
know. And I looked it up and I'm like, "Yep,
Yeah.
that's what it was. All of
Yep.
these cars have that number because they're registered here." So that doesn't mean anything, you know? So it's like sometimes you have to pull yourself back a
Mhm.
little bit and
Mhm.
be like, "Do you feel that that's a message or are you seeing a message?" Like for me it's always like I'm clairsentient mainly. So I'm like, does it come with the feeling? So when I'm doom scrolling and inevitably there's tons of these spiritual readings and stuff coming through, I try not to put like too much into them because again, they're collective. And if they're being
Yes.
too specific for anybody listening, they're probably not it because they
Yep.
can't really be specific like that with a collective reading.
Mhm.
But I'll be like, some of them, I'll be like, oh, there's a feeling. Like with yours, I got a feeling. And I think it was probably because, we were meant to
Mm.
connect and do this.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'll get a feeling and then I'll hang around. But
Mm.
I think what's really good is maybe to give some advice for people when they do see these messages. I also really hate when they start off with like this bait of like, oh my God, I'm almost crying. I'm so excited for this message for you. This is the most beautiful message. In the next, when they give a time frame too, time frame is a red
Oh,
flag.
yeah.
If they're like 2 weeks from now, this is coming in, and you're like, nope, because tarot doesn't work with time frames. It works with what's going on right now. So
Mhm.
if someone's telling you a time frame based off a tarot reading, based off of not talking to you about anything and not this is a
Mhm.
collective reading, that's a red flag for me.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
"Mm-mm."
Yeah. I would say if it the some of the red flags for me are saying like, yeah, the specifics. I mean, it truly is a red flag for me when people say someone or something is coming back in. I have not yet encountered a reading that suggests that any of the cards communicate that
Mm-mm. No, there's too
at
much
all.
free will involved. How are you can't do that.
No.
You would never be able to do that.
And also to start a reading with, I don't know, to say, then who's the reading for? Is it for the
Yeah.
energy coming in or is it
Yeah.
for you listen? You know, so it's like that's confusing. Confusion is huge. If you're like, wait, I don't understand what that means. Um, in terms of well, this was making sense and now there's been like a sharp left turn and it doesn't anymore. That's usually when I
Mm,
scroll and I'm like, maybe I just needed to hear like a couple minutes or like a phrase there and then I'm gonna move on. Um, the only thing I know about how tarot communicates time is in terms of speed. So there are some
mm,
people who are like, pentacles are slow because it's
mhm,
earth.
mhm.
And then you like gradually move up, and then it's water, and then it's air, and then I believe it's fire. So in terms of
And
like,
water
it's
is cups and
right,
air is wands
swords.
and
Yeah.
fire is swords. Yeah.
Yeah. No, swords is air and wand
Okay.
fire.
Wands
Yeah.
is oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So that's the only time, but it would have to be unless I get like an intuitive nudge, like, I think this happened this time ago, or like, did something happen that like a few weeks? And that's usually in a private reading. To say like anyone encountering my video, I don't know. I try not to do that. I try also predictive is
Mhm.
not necessarily, I don't want to say it's not in my wheelhouse, but in terms of, yeah, it's just a little
I
like
think
I can get
you can be like
energetic
there's
nudges, but I
yeah,
very, to get specifics of a
yeah,
future
no.
isn't one of the things that I can access. And so when someone does that, I'm a little like, I can't, but okay. Yeah.
No, I think like for me, I've gotten predictive things more, but it's very much like the upcoming energy
Yeah.
carries like a karmic justice level to it. So you're
Yes.
probably going to see people being called out for, ways that they've misused power. Like
Yeah.
I've gotten messages like that, but it's not like I'm not going to be like somebody in your life
Yes.
is going to have that happen to them. It's like, no, the energy is around this and it could happen, but it could
Mhm.
also not happen because again, it's if I'm getting anything predictive, there's a lot of stuff
Yeah.
that can go on in between there. So you
Yeah.
probably will see something happen, but,
Yeah.
not necessarily like anything
Yeah.
really big.
I
I mean,
would
I
say,
will say there's a few people who've predicted some things with tarot, but I mean, I also am very like critical thinking person. So sometimes I'm like, well, they predicted that there would be plane crashes, but there have been plane crashes going on a lot lately. So is that
mhm,
really predictive or is that, an educated guess?
right. Yeah. And I think too, like another red flag is any communication that without that reading, you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Because the knowing is actually inner and
Mm-hmm.
within you always. Readings can confirm, readings can highlight, communicate, but to say, hey, without this, if you scroll past, you're never going to know.
Yeah.
If you, I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, don't you, fear as a tactic in any way, withholding as a tactic in any way is like a
Mm-hmm.
huge red flag to me that this is a manipulative way to get someone to listen to you.
Yeah. I mean, so I worked in marketing and branding for 15 years. So there's a side of me that understands that that tactic will work for the algorithm on
Oh,
Instagram.
for sure.
So I think that I'm not saying because I agree with you, but I think those people have probably learned what works to keep people watching the
Hmm.
videos so that therefore they get more views, which they get pushed out and whatever. So I feel like that's a very strategic, calculated, but at the same time, you as someone consuming that just needs to be aware that they're using tactics like that in order to perform better. If
Yeah.
the message is still somewhat resonating with you after you get past like those first
Yeah.
bits, okay, sure. But just be fully aware
Yeah.
that if the rest of the message doesn't any like make any sense to you, then yeah. But I also like social media kills me because I feel like currently we're in a space where if you are trying to do services, you kind of have to be on social media.
Mhm.
But I refuse to play the algorithm game.
Mhm.
So I understand very much that that hurts me. But
Yeah.
I'm also just like, I want to say what I want to say
Mm.
authentically. And I
Yep.
really don't want to be using, and I haven't seen it with your videos either. Like
Mm.
you
Here we
just say
are.
what you want to say. So I feel
Yeah.
like spirit will help me at some point when it's the
Yes.
right point for my stuff to get out. But I'm not using like I tried a little bit to like my friend owns a social media agency. And so she was
Mm.
giving me some tips and I tried it and I was like, this takes all the joy out of it. Like the little
Yeah.
joy that there was in this is now gone completely.
Yeah.
And I hate this. And yeah. So with those collective readings, like that was another thing. My friend was like, "Oh, but they perform really well if you do collective readings." I'm like, "Yeah, but that doesn't really it's not really my thing." Like I
Yeah.
can do it. I do it once in a while when I feel called to it, but
Mhm.
I much prefer just to consume them. And even the bad ones. I'm like, I still want to watch this.
Yes.
Another red flag I think is pretty funny. Again, I think just use your critical thinking and your own intuition, but
Mhm.
when they're like these numbers, if these numbers are significant and if these things are significant, this is for you. And it's like 20 different things. It's like
Mm.
ladybug, bicycle, red car, sunflower, like all these super things that you
Yeah,
could just
yeah,
see anywhere and
yeah,
then every single angel number known to man, and they're
yeah,
like, "If any of these, have you been seeing any of these things?" And I'm like, "Well, you're
yeah.
bound to see those
Right.
things, you
I've
know?"
done a parody of that. Like I
Oh,
did
yeah?
on my like personal account, which I like promote all my comedy shows on and that kind of stuff. It's like this is that and this is tarot and that's okay that they're separate. Um I did like a here my upcoming shows and I had like 333 like all these different things and I'm like I I love it. I think it's hilarious. I love it. I'm like, look at all these things. Look at all the words on the screen. But there have been times where I'm like, oh shit, wait a minute. Like
Mhm.
this is like kind of lining up, and you don't know if it's like your baby psychosis or whatever it is, right? But there is part of me that's like, okay, I like if I have seen like last night. I saw 444 on 3 different license plates, right? And then I get home and I'm like getting ready for bed and I was like, this reading just has like 444 on it. I'm going to listen there. So I have been inclined to do that for sure and just be like, okay, what's going on? And one of my favorite, they don't even do tarot. They're just an orator on TikTok. And he
Okay.
says, take it as it resonates, take it as it resonates. Like
Uh-huh. All the time.
50 times,
Yeah.
like 50, and it's almost to the point where it's like after every phrase, you're like, okay, take it as it resonates. And I'm like, you're my favorite because this is where we are right now. We're like, hey, phrase by phrase, I don't know if it's going to fit for you. Okay.
No.
Like, I don't know if it's going to be your thing. I'm talking into the void right now. Like, I am sort of like, hey, and when the interesting thing with tattoos and tarot is when it really my like collective readings took off because I'd been doing them for like a couple years and was just to be like, okay, it's just like what it um, is when it was interesting because it was like I was going through this like wild transformation, dark night of the soul, and was just kind of like, fuck everything. Here are the cards that are coming out. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be for you. I don't know if you're going through this, but here we are. This is authentically what's coming out. It's what's coming out for me. And usually, unless I set an intention to like, okay, let the cards like be for a specific thing, whatever people need to hear, it is also usually what I need to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I just was talking to somebody about that, because I was saying, like, I don't really do psychic readings as a service either. Like,
Mm,
I'm very particular about who I feel called to do readings for.
yeah.
Um, and I think that for me specifically is a purpose because what we were talking about was exactly that I feel like when I feel the nudge to take on a job,
Hmm.
the message that I give I'm always like, wait, is that for me too? Because it resonates so much with me that I'm like,
Hmm.
wow, and I think maybe that's just how spirit works. They're like,
Yep.
you also need to hear this, you
Yep.
know?
Yep.
It's
Absolutely.
also for you. Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, I think also if you're watching a collective reading and, yeah, like you said, and we've said, part of it resonates and the rest doesn't, then as that guy says, take what resonates,
Yeah.
just take
Yeah.
what resonates.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on, Allison. Is there
Yes.
anything that you wanna plug?
I am going to be, as the new year comes, doing a lot more with tarot tutorials.
Mhm.
So some of the offerings that I'll have will be you pull your cards and I help you read them as like a almost
Oh,
like a
cool.
tutor, like mentorship of like, hey, you want to do this on your own? Like,
Yeah,
let's work together. And I'll be
that's great.
offering classes locally and that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm very excited about it. So
That's so cool.
working
That's
on
a
that
great idea.
now, and hopefully rolling out if I can before the beginning of the year. But if not, yeah, getting all that squared away and visit the website. I have tattoosandtarot.com, but I also have a link tree that always has my shows up to date and offerings for readings. And yeah,
And I will put all of that in the show notes. Quick
perfect.
question. Tattoos and tarot. Do you have a lot of tattoos?
I have 5, but
Okay.
it's more of like, I was like, the goal was to have the shows in comedy clubs and tattoo parlors. And if we could offer like a tattoo, it was supposed to be like almost like an event, like come and get a tattoo by this person. But we've read like so far, I haven't had one in a tattoo parlor. And comedy clubs are like, I don't know if we have the insurance to cover
That's
a
like
tattoo
maybe
artist coming in.
also
So I give away tattoo gift cards like
okay.
randomly to an audience member that gets like to a tattoo artist that has like done most of my tattoos. And then I give like the our logo
Uh-huh.
as a temporary tattoo to
Oh,
everyone.
cute.
Yeah.
That's
So
adorable.
thank
I
you.
have so like this like, I can't like turn my arm. This tattoo,
Yeah.
it's not from tarot, but it was a psychic reading and then a witch like was at the psychic reading
Yeah.
and then she drew it based off of what came through from my guides in the psychic
Oh, I
reading
love
and then
that.
I got it tattooed and it's my favorite. It's my absolute
I
favorite. So I was
love
just like, wait, people get the readings? Okay.
yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. I love
Yeah.
the temporary tattoo. That's so cute.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
thank you
perfect.
for being on today and thank you everyone for
Yes.
listening. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I will put everything in the show notes, so make sure to follow Allison, reach out to her, go to her website, check her out, go to her comedy shows if you're in the area. Make sure to follow me as well. I can check out my website that is also in there. And remember to rate, like, follow, and share the podcast. I love you all. Have a fantastic week.